Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. An absolutely wild day in the world yesterday, but also in the VALORANT side as well, because big matches going down in the Americas and around the world, and lots of reaction to it as well. Evil geniuses going down as they did to MIBR. Big questions being raised and big roasts coming through from the likes of Boostio to his former organisation, but also making the argument as to what's going to happen next for some of these players and for some of these teams. What roster changes are necessary? How quickly are they going to happen? Very much into your thoughts and all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. Plenty to get into, of course, in the VALORANT world today, because this is going to be the trophy for VCT China, right? So the regular season after the playoffs is about to come to a close. Whoever wins the playoffs, congratulations, you're going to get this trophy. Pretty spectacular looking thing. It goes very well, of course, with the Chinese theme in general, but, you know, it's not going to be quite as coveted as that World Championship trophy is going to be, whoever manages to take that one down. Speaking of China, this is how it looks in terms of the playoff bracket. We've got this starting, of course, in a couple of days' time. Trace Esports All Gamers, Gen.G Billy. Winner of those goes through. FPX and Edward we know are going to be there at the World Championship, so it really just depends which two of these other four are going to make it instead. And that knockout game, of course, is going to be all important for all of those teams. The same is true, of course, in EMEA, and this is how it stands here. So Heretics, they're looking good. For Esports, of course, they also got the bye, but it's Fnatic, KC, it's Vitality, Na'Vi. Probably Fnatic will be okay, but certainly the Vitality Na'Vi side is massively important, right? But if Fnatic, Fnatic have qualified anyway, right? So even if they lose to KC, they're going to be fine just because of the amount of points they accrued in the regular season. So, KC will need to win that to give themselves a chance, is effectively how this is going to work. In the Pacific, by the way, things did continue yesterday. Of course, we saw that Gen.G took down PaperX, but the other series was DRX Talent, right? And this was the first time we've seen Primi look somewhat human, right? He still had a pretty decent series, all things considered here, Primi, but, wasn't enough to get his team over the line. This time, Cruz had a bit of a rough one, but yeah, fair play to DRX, just because they've kind of been known as the 2-1 merchants, right? Like, they're winning every series 2-1, they go in the distance, all this stuff. This time, though, 13-8, 13-4, dominant. Abyss is very new. Flashback goes 21-5, and Brummy's on the clove here again, doing some damage. But yeah, the Abyss, I think this one maybe there wasn't anyone fell off the map. I think the first time it was played they did, and I don't know if I massively like the map, to be honest. Maybe it'll grow on me a little bit, but it is a brand new map, and therefore you might be expecting some more volatile results, as some teams understand how to play it more so than others do. And well, I think we can see that here by the talent side, when two of the guys have 17 kills and the rest of them have, well, 14 kills combined between Cruz, Ban and Governor. Not exactly ideal. So yeah, DRX take the dub there, and that sets them up quite nicely, really. Okay, DRX are going to be at champions anyway, as are these other teams. But you still want to win your own region, right? Because DRX, they made those changes. There was some debate whether it was a good idea or not, and now they're on the verge of, if they can, beat Gen.G potentially today, which is actually starting right as I'm recording this video, then maybe there's a possibility that they can continue to turn their season around. So that was the result to yesterday. But let's talk about what's happening in the Americas, right? Because big storylines here. Firstly, Chet, current coach of NRG, potentially not for too much longer. There are rumours that he's going to go back to Counter-Strike, and I wouldn't be massively surprised if he does stream Monday that he is going to say a little bit more about what his future actually is, what his future with NRG is, what his future with potentially other organisations and games is going to be, because he says, yeah, we're going to review the games for the year and answer some questions on Monday and going to stream Monday and everything like that. So, we don't see too many streams from Chet, but I'm sure that he's going to be taking some heat in the chat, I imagine, and also taking some heat in terms of what exactly he's planning to do next, because that is the question with NRG, the way their season ended. Sure, Som and FNS get to go back to doing the watch parties, right? So congrats, I guess, to those guys, but does not make it so clear what Chet's going to do as the coach of the team, and also who their new coach might potentially be. Before we get to that, though, let's talk Lev, because they have been, since changing their head coach, I believe, actually, a few matches ago, they've just not lost a single map, I don't believe. And that remains true here for Aspas today. They just 2-0'd Furia. Let's just quickly look, I guess, before we look at this one, Lev's recent results. Yeah, every game they've played since beating MIBR has been a 2-0 smoke show. Like, they obviously didn't make the result in Shanghai that they wanted to, but still, ever since then, 2-0ing MIBR, 100T, EG, Loud, and now Furia. That is very, very impressive indeed. And another 2-0 again here against Furia. Not a close one again. Aspas is, I mean, you've got to consider him the best in the world. You've probably got to consider him the best of all time, right, at the moment, like the way this guy's playing, of course, world champion as well, so he ticks that box in addition. By the way, Com played really well here. Like, I don't know, it's just because, you know, it was against Nolswa, right, on the other side, and wanted to just play really well or something, but yeah, Com absolutely fried on this map to Icebox. I mean, look at him go, 20 and 10 here on the Sova for a 13-6 dub. Aspas didn't even have to do that much on the Icebox, but game one was, you know, a classic Aspas affair here on the Sunted on the Neon, 27 in 10, and yeah, Furia go down. So Lev have been really impressive actually, and I think they're making a run to show the team they should have been all along in some ways. At the start of the season, there was a feeling from FNS and from others that, you know, one of the theoretical top teams was going to flop. Was it going to be Sen? Was it going to be Lev? Was it going to be NRG? And initially it seemed like, okay, it's going to be Lev maybe. And now it seems like actually, no, it was NRG all along, and Lev are actually going to be good. And Sentinels, we know they're still in a good position as well. They will need Sentinels if they want to guarantee World Championship qualification to beat G2. I think that is today. And, you know, of course, that's going to be a big series regardless to set up the situation they're going into the playoffs. But speaking of getting to the playoffs, neither of these two teams are able to do so. And again, it's one of these regular season games with absolutely nothing on the line. And for some reason, when MIBR have nothing on the line, they magically start to play good Valorant for some reason, right? And that, it seems, is what has happened here again, because they win game one against EG MIBR, and after MIBR went the entire season without winning a single series, as we see here in the Americas, right? They were 0-9 in the regular season before this. They play their final game against EG, and they take the dub against EG, right? And this is a pretty clean one, to be fair. Like, Apoth had an absolutely shocking time, and I think that will be one of the key storylines here, really, is that, okay, Apoth, he came into this team, showed some very brief glimpses back in stage one where they played Sentinels, but apart from that, it's been pretty bad. And this was, I mean, ugly. Against MIBR, like the worst team in the league, to go, you know, 6 kills map 1 of them. Map 2 Lotus was 13-2 on MIBR's pick. Apoth had 2 frags. So it just wasn't pretty. And fair play to MIBR, like actually performing despite the fact that they're out of the season. But again, it also makes it kind of difficult for them, right? Because it's like, wow, we finally won. Congrats, guys. What do we do now with our roster, right? Do we blow it up? Or do we just won a match? But we've got nothing more to play. So, you know, no last chance qualifier, nothing to see if this team could actually be any good. But EG go down, and understandably, they're getting roasted, right? Because, you know, famously, Derek, when he was on the 100T, similar thing happened last season, and as Derek says, you know, I'm just straight up cursed, and Giacomo talks about it, Boostio's talking about it. Like, I think Derek, solid player, played well, but, you know, unfortunately for him, it's happened a couple of times now. MIBR, of course, versus 100T last year, famously, when Derek was on that team, and then this year, the same thing has kind of happened again. I think he tried his best, but, yeah, not enough for Evil Geniuses to get over the line, and therefore, that's raised the question, what next for Evil Geniuses, right? What happens now? Because Potter's talking about, you know, disappointed to close out the season, not with a dub, but in the end, they weren't going to make it to the playoffs regardless. Would have been fascinating had NRG actually won this series against Cloud9 to think what could have happened if that was the case, because as it actually turned out in the bracket, because Evil Geniuses lost in the way that they did, I think, you know, NRG at 4-6, they would have had the tiebreak over EG as a result. So, you know, all EG, I think, would have had to do probably is beat Cloud9, and they'd have made it to the playoffs based on this result, and, you know, EG wouldn't have made it. But, yeah, guess what? NRG didn't win against Cloud9, and therefore, we know what's happened from there. But Evil Geniuses, and obviously there's been talk about Potter, is she now gonna, you know, leave EG and potentially go over to, you know, NRG and work with them or something to that effect? But of course, there's further big games upcoming, right? This most certainly being one of them, the Sentinels versus G2 game. This will be the deciding one in many sense to determine whether Sen are going to go to the World Championship easily or not, and also just how competitive they're currently looking, right? Because, you know, Liv have won so many maps in a row, and then it's yeah, today, so tonight actually, at least my time, Sentinels versus G2. If Sentinels win, they guarantee themselves enough points to qualify automatically for the esports, for the World Championship this year. But very much interested to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah, it's entirely given up to him at this point. 30 seconds left. Going to be calling any minute now for Aspas to get a bit of a move on.
The smoke to enable the ult.
Continues to have impact in all sorts of different ways.
Sildo Tiny use of differences here. Doubled up out towards the back of the site. Nade sails in. A little bit delayed.
No way, guy's a beast. And he finds out where this last guy is.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, do you want a stun double
He's working
swing?
him now, and I know where Shandy is.
Got a dash.
Out wide into the open. Has to
Whoa,
adjust.
bro, Aspas is on one.
Puts him down.
I can't believe he gets both there as well, because they've naded him out into the open. Like, he should at the very least be getting traded.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Everyone, yes.
Dude, even they're laughing at it. I'm pretty sure.
Every game. He's 11-2 right now. Even for his standards, this is monstrous. I think Fury
What
played a
is
better round
that?
overall, right up
Dude,
until
imagine
the
being
end
that
there.
Omen.
Yeah, what do you do?
Just disbelief. Actual disbelief.
Man, the Omen's literally just turned the corner and been melted.
Up online for